Today I'm going to show you how a honey extractor actually works. Hello, I'm Griff Rees, welcome to Gwyn and Griffith. Here we talk everything beekeeping, farming, countryside living, and we do reviews as well. Now there is another video in the honey house and talking about the extracting process step by step. To see the whole process in one video, click the link by there and you can watch this whole process seamlessly in one video. But the motive of this video is breaking that process up into individual blocks and explaining a little bit more about it in more detail, but geared towards people who are just starting beekeeping, who don't know how all this kit works. So today we're talking honey extractor. Now this is my honey extractor. I think it's the third one I've owned. This is what you'd call probably a mid-range extractor. It's a 20 frame extractor, and to see how many frames this can actually take, you just count the grooves there where the frame sits. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you got 5, 10, 15, 20. So 20 frames in this extractor. Now basically it's a simple process. We uncap the frames like we saw in the previous video. Click the link there to watch that video, and you put the frames in your uncap. So you got to take the wax off the frame, put the frames in there, but the honey doesn't fall out or doesn't all come out of the frames. But what this honey extractor does, very high tech, it uses centrifugal force. So as this spins round really quick, creates centrifugal force, and it pushes the honey out of the frame onto the side of the extractor. It runs out through the tap by there, and then we catch the honey in the bucket. Nothing complex about it. Now there are a few different designs. This one I've got here is a Lyson one. I am due to get a much bigger extractor for next season, but depending how these extractors work, sometimes there's a motor on the top. On this one it's actually on the bottom, driven by a belt, or they come manual. So instead of having a motor on the bottom or the top, you have a manual arm here which you turn a cog there, and then that turns the frames. Now all of that works fine, but an electric one works way better. And the bigger the extractor, I just find the balance and everything is much better in a bigger extractor. You got more steel, more weight. The design of a bigger extractor is much better than the small one. You know, this one is not without its faults, but it has been a very reliable extractor over the years. Alright, we better see this extract some honey. Let's fill it up. Okay, the honey extractor is now full. Now when you load up in the honey extractor, you really got to work out the balance. So if this side is heavier than the opposite side, the whole thing it'll just rattle itself off and not be effective and probably break itself. So you got to balance the extractor. If you've got a heavy frame here, make sure you got a heavy frame on the other side. If you've got a light frame there, make sure you got a light frame on the other side. Very important you balance it out. And you can see here that's a manly frame, so directly opposite then I've got another manly frame, and that balances out. So basically that's all that's happened is I've uncapped the honey. So you can see the honey there being exposed on the frame. Now that sits in there. Now basically if I were to do anything, there'll only be a little bit of the honey that will fall to the floor and run out in the bucket. We got to spin it using centrifugal force. So let's turn this on. Right, turn this one on, close it. Now we got a computer and we bring it up to 6 first. That will tell me if the balance is right, and if it is, then we can up the speed. You don't want to go too fast, too quick. You got to build the speed up. And you can hear and see the wax and the honey coming off. are safe enough to build the speed up now. There's no wobble, it's perfectly balanced. We'll knock the speed up. So next I take it from 6 and then I bring it to 8 and we'll see if there's any wobble. If not, we leave it run at 8 for a couple of minutes and then we'll bring it up to 9 or 10 and then leave that run for a good 8 minutes and then the frames should be nice and dry. Nice and balanced and it's running very smooth. We'll bring this up to number 10. And 10 on this extractor is full speed. Right, this has been around 8 minutes. You can see if I stick the camera right in there, the honey level has come right up and it is flowing out of there. Now there's no point waiting for all of that to drain out. Take the frames out, put the next load in and just keep the whole thing running. Now I see that's pretty good, pretty dry. You will always get some stickiness left over. You can't spin it where it's bone dry, but that is good enough. And basically that is how a honey extractor works. Now just to note, I have actually bolted this one down to the ground. Now I prefer that, but a lot of people say if you're going to bolt it on rubber mounts first, because sometimes some manufacturers they wouldn't recommend you bolting the extractor to the floor because that can strain the frame and eventually it will crack. I have not cracked one yet, and this has been bolted to the floor for, well, I've been on the farm for 7 years, so at least 7 years, and it hasn't split or broke with me yet. That's not to say it's not going to, but they do say mount it on rubber mounts if you're going to mount it to the floor. You know, do as I say, not as I do. I've bolted it to the floor. But yeah, that is it. That is a quick video on how a honey extractor works. Well, very basic video, but hopefully if you're new to beekeeping, you learned something new. And if you like this video and you want to watch more of the same kind of content, then please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I try my best to upload videos every week. Thanks for watching.